Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. My name is Ben, and it's time to man up. Today, what I want to talk about is something that I think it's very important in our life because how we view God is going to shape the way we live our life. Because the way we view God is the way we're going to believe in life. And remember that your life is always a reflection of what you believe. If you believe God is a taskmaster, you're going to have a different life versus if you believe that God is your father. Because the two are very, very different. And it might look the same, but the two differences can change the path of your whole life forever. Let's think about when you're going to shoot a gun, or when you're going to shoot a bow, or simply have a telescope. It seems that everything is in line. You have the telescope, you're looking at the star, and all of a sudden you sneeze, you move, you breathe wrong, whatever it is you do, you twitch, and all of a sudden you lost that star. And it seems like every small little movement that you make, you just see hundreds of thousands of stars pass you by, and it's like, wait a minute, I barely even moved. How is this possible? And it's because the distance is so far, but that little bit of deviation is actually what is causing that huge mishap. In the same way, this little view of God, where you have God as a taskmaster or God as a father, is going to completely change the outcome and the quality of life that you experience here and now. And the first one is going to be that of a taskmaster. Let's take a look at that. And that's when you view God as your master. That's when you view God as he's the owner and boss of you, and all you are is a slave, a servant, or whatever you want to call it. And in that mentality, you think that you have to work, and constantly do in order to keep God happy. You're constantly trying to please your master, because otherwise there's going to be a lashing out of, there's going to be any sort of repercussion. Let's take a look at that in modern day times. Let's just say you're at work and you're just relaxing, your feet are on the desk, you're just having a good time, you're looking on your phone, and all of a sudden you get wind that your boss is in the building, or he actually entered into the office. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to straighten up, your posture changes, your attitude changes, the way you look absolutely changes, and you start just frantically trying to look like you're busy. You start dusting the air, moving around, you don't know what you're doing, because in your mind, he has to find you doing something in order for him to be pleased. And that's the same mentality that we unfortunately take with God. We think that we're always having to be moving, and if he catches us not moving, he's going to punish me. He's going to do something. He's going to do something that he might cause an accident, or I don't know, cause a sickness on me just so he can teach me a lesson. But that's not the way God works. Now, when you view God as your father, as who he truly is, then everything changes. Because I don't know about you, but when you walk into the living room and your son is watching TV or doing something, you're not going to yell at him. You're not going to get on him. You're not going to tell him what's going on. I can't believe why you're not doing anything. Now I understand there's obedience tied into it, and if he's never doing what he's supposed to do and he's just being lazy, I understand that. But I'm talking about if you just find him in the living room just watching TV, you are not going to freak out. You're not going to be like, what are you doing? He's not going to ask you for food, and you're not going to tell him, fine, go mow the lawn and then you can get some food. You're going to give him the food. You're going to give everything that he needs. And let's just take a look at another scenario. Let's just say that somebody comes and steals your boss's car. And you're driving around and you see that car and you're like, oh, that's my boss's car. So you might, this is a might, pick up the phone and call your boss and tell him, hey, I was driving down the street and I seen your car. It's over here. You'll give him the cross streets. That way he knows where his car's at. And that will be really good. He'll probably commend you and say, good job. Thank you so much for letting me know. Now, let's just, on the flip side, same situation, a car stolen, but now the car doesn't belong to your boss. The car belongs to your father. Now, same situation, same scenario, you're driving down the same street and you see the car. Now, the outcome, the way things go from here on after are going to be different, because most likely you're not going to pick up the phone and call your dad and tell him, hey, I seen your car. Most likely you're going to attempt to approach, or you're going to follow or do something, but you're going to put a lot more effort in the capture of that person, because that car is no longer your boss's. That car belongs to your father, and if it belongs to your father, you're outraged and you're going to be angry or whatever it is. But you're going to take bigger steps, deeper steps into obtaining that car back. And that's the same thing with God, because sometimes the devil wants to come and take what's already belonging to God, a family member, addiction, whatever it is that comes into somebody's life. And if you view God as a master mentality, you're probably going to be like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to call God and let him know what's going on, and that's fine. And God's going to handle it. After all, it's his. But if you realize that, you know what, that belongs to my dad, that belongs to my father, he already paid the price, it's been paid for, you're going to do whatever's in your power to take that back. Every time you see sickness, poverty, divorce, anything like that, it's going to anger you. You're going to say, no, that belongs to my father. And guess what? Our Father has given us the authority to take back what the devil is trying to steal away from us. And there's the difference. One is saying God will do it. And yes, the authority comes from God. So don't misunderstand me and think that it's us doing it. But we have a role to play in this life. We have a role to play when we're expanding the kingdom. So it's our job to see injustices and bring order to it, not because of us, but because of the power that's within us, that works within us. The same power that rose Jesus from the dead is now in us. That same authority is now in us. But when we view God as our master and we're just a slave, you can miss out on the whole point. When you're viewing God as a master, you say, I don't deserve things. And God's trying to bless you financially and you say no because he's calling me to be humble. And you're sick and God's trying to heal you and you say no because this is what God sent to prove his will. God doesn't work that way. Because remember one thing, I can't give you what I don't have. If you ask me for $5, if I don't have it, I can't give it to you. If you ask me for 20,000, if I don't have it, I can't give it to you. Ask me for $1, I have $1. Here you go. But I can't give you what I don't have. If you ask me for a car and I don't have one, if you ask me for a house, whatever it is that you're asking me for, if I don't have it, I can't give it to you. In the same way, you can't give out what God can't give out what he doesn't have. So if you're saying that God gave you a sickness, that means he had to have it. And God does not have sicknesses. He is a healer. He is a restorer. He is a giver of life. He mends things. He doesn't break them. He doesn't do anything like that. That's a lie. That's a misconception that the enemy is trying to place on God so God can be untrustworthy. You can't trust somebody that's going to give you a sickness or a disease. And let's take a look at another example involving say the flu. Say that I hang out with somebody and the next day they call me up and they tell me, hey, I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, I feel really, really bad. You gave me the flu. And me, I'm feeling perfect. I would be like, I don't know what you're talking about, because first of all, I'm not sick. I don't have the flu. Yeah, I didn't have it yesterday when we were together. So I'm perfectly fine. So there is absolutely no way I could have given it to you, right? That would be our thoughts. If somebody accused you of getting them sick, of the flu, of the fever, but you didn't have it, you would be like, that is crazy. How do you expect me to take that as truth, that I gave it to you? And they are adamant that you gave it to them, but like, I'm positive I didn't have it. And that's the same thing we do with God. We say God gives us something, or God brings poverty over us, and God's all like, I don't have that to give to you, because if I got you sick, that would mean that I myself am sick. But God brings healing and restoration. So we have to be very careful in how we view God. Remember, the Bible says we're no longer a slave, but a son. No longer a servant, but a son. Because there's two differences, major differences. A son will have inheritance. A servant will never have inheritance. So remember, you are a child of God. And he loves you and he wants to give you the world. So stop interacting with God as a master-slave mentality. You're broken, you're free, and that has been broken off your life. You're now a son of God. Thank you guys for tuning in.